My name is Wasi, and my life took a turn the day I first saw Nano. His real name wasn't Nano, but that's what he called himself on the volleyball court, a name that echoed like a rallying cry among the players. He wasn't just good, he was extraordinary. Every movement of his was precise, every leap a testament to his skill. I was mesmerized, not just by his athleticism but by the effortless charisma that radiated from him. Our tribes had been at odds for as long as anyone could remember, locked in a bitter rivalry fueled by pride and old grievances. The divisions between us were sharp, each tribe enforcing an unwritten rule to distrust the other. Yet, standing on the edge of that volleyball court, none of that mattered to me. Nano was more than the labels our tribes had assigned. He was an enigma I couldn't ignore. At first, I was just a spectator. Volleyball wasn't my game, and I had no intention of joining a sport that seemed so far removed from my world. But Nano's presence changed that. I found myself drawn to the court, lingering longer each day, watching him play with a passion that was as infectious as it was inspiring. Before I knew it, I was practicing with the younger players, fumbling my way through the basics just to have a reason to stay close. It wasn't long before Nano noticed. "You're getting better," he said one afternoon, tossing me the ball with an easy grin. His voice was warm, inviting, as though we had known each other for years. That moment marked the beginning of our friendship, a bond forged on the court, where tribal divisions seemed to blur under the shared rhythm of the game. But not everyone saw it that way. Whispers began to circulate, sharp-edged and dripping with suspicion. The people from his tribe watched us with narrowed eyes, their disapproval as evident as the sun in the sky. "He's one of them," they'd say, their voices laced with contempt. The disapproval didn't deter Nano. If anything, it seemed to fuel his determination to defy their expectations. Despite the growing tension, his family treated me with surprising warmth. His brothers even joined us during late-night practice sessions, their laughter cutting through the weight of tribal animosity. It was as if, within those moments, we existed in a bubble, separate from the world's judgment. Still, the cracks were there, faint but undeniable. Nano's tribe wasn't ready to let go of their mistrust, and the whispers soon turned into schemes. But every attempt to sow discord only seemed to strengthen our bond. By the time we began working on a shared mission, something bigger than either of us, I realized our connection had become unbreakable. Yet, in the shadows, resentment brewed, threatening to shatter the fragile unity we had built. The stage was set, the lines drawn, and our story was just beginning. Nano and I grew closer with each passing day, our shared time on the volleyball court transforming us from acquaintances into something deeper. What had started as casual conversations over practice drills became hours of heartfelt discussions after the games. Nano spoke of his dreams, his frustrations, and his desire to rise above the confines of tribal expectations. In those moments, I saw a side of him no one else seemed to notice, a thoughtful, determined individual yearning to create his own identity. Our bond, however, did not go unnoticed. The whispers among his tribe grew louder, evolving into accusations masked as concern. "He's not like us," they'd say about me, their words cutting through the camaraderie Nano and I had built. They didn't see the effort, the trust, or the unspoken understanding that made our friendship unshakable. Instead, they chose to focus on the divide that had existed between our tribes for generations. Nano, to his credit, never wavered. "Let them talk," he'd say with a dismissive shrug, his confidence as unwavering as his loyalty. "They don't know you like I do." It was a simple statement, but it carried a weight that neither of us acknowledged aloud. Despite the opposition, his family remained a surprising source of support. Nano's brothers often joined our practice sessions, their playful banter and shared laughs creating an unexpected sanctuary. His parents, though reserved, welcomed me with polite smiles and quiet acceptance, their lack of hostility a stark contrast to the rest of the tribe. It was during one of those late-night practice sessions that Nano first mentioned the idea of a mission. "We can prove them wrong," he said, his voice steady yet brimming with passion. "Show them that unity is stronger than division." The mission was ambitious, requiring trust, teamwork, and a determination to rise above the petty grievances that had defined our tribes for decades. As we planned and strategized, our bond deepened further. Nano's unwavering belief in our shared goal ignited a fire within me, pushing me to match his dedication. Every step we took toward our objective felt like a small victory, not just against the doubters but against the doubts I had carried within myself. Yet, the more we worked together, the more the resentment from his tribe festered. Their criticism turned into open mockery, their laughter a constant reminder of the barriers we were trying to break. "You're wasting your time," one elder sneered, his words echoing in my mind long after he walked away. But Nano and I refused to let their disdain deter us. Each insult only fueled our determination, and each setback only made our partnership stronger. By the time we reached the halfway point of our mission, it was clear that we weren't just fighting for success. We were fighting for the right to believe in something bigger than ourselves. Our friendship had grown into a force that could no longer be ignored. Still, the storm brewing around us threatened to test the limits of our resolve. The closer Nano and I came to realizing our mission, the more intense the opposition grew. What had begun as whispers of discontent among his tribe had now evolved into overt acts of sabotage. Their disdain for our alliance was no longer veiled. It was a storm-gathering force, threatening to dismantle everything we had built. One afternoon, during a critical meeting for the mission, a member of Nano's tribe interrupted us. "Why waste your time with him?" the man sneered, his tone laced with contempt as he pointed at me. "He doesn't belong here." The room fell silent, the tension so thick it felt suffocating. Nano stood tall, his gaze unflinching. "He belongs wherever I am," he replied, his voice calm yet resolute. But their tactics grew more insidious. They spread rumors, twisting the truth to cast doubt on my intentions. I would catch fragments of their accusations. "He's using Nano," or "He'll betray him like the rest of his tribe." Each word cut deeper than the last, but Nano's unwavering support was my anchor. "Ignore them," he'd say, his hand on my shoulder. "We know what we're fighting for." Still, their betrayal reached its peak when they deliberately sabotaged a crucial step in our mission. They tampered with our resources, setting us back weeks and forcing us to rebuild what we had painstakingly constructed. I wanted to confront them, to demand why they were so intent on tearing us down. But Nano stopped me, his expression a mixture of frustration and determination. "If we let their hate distract us, they win," he said. His words reminded me of the bigger picture, even as anger simmered beneath my resolve. Despite the setbacks, moments of vulnerability surfaced between us. Late one night, as we worked to recover what had been lost, Nano's facade of strength cracked. "Sometimes, I wonder if they'll ever accept us," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. It was the first time I'd seen him question himself, and it broke something inside me. "They don't have to," I replied firmly. "As long as we believe in what we're doing, that's enough." Our perseverance began to bear fruit. Slowly, some members of his tribe started to see the value in our efforts. A few even offered quiet words of encouragement, though their voices were drowned out by the louder chorus of dissent. It was a small victory, but it reminded us that change, however gradual, was possible. Yet, the path ahead remained treacherous. The open mockery from his tribe had turned into an unrelenting campaign of intimidation. Each day felt like a battle, every success met with renewed attempts to undermine us. But through it all, Nano and I stood side by side, our bond unbroken despite the chaos swirling around us. We were nearing the end of our journey, but the greatest test of our friendship, and our resolve, was still to come. The culmination of our mission was within reach, but the pressure bearing down on us had become unbearable. Nano's tribe was relentless in their attempts to discredit us, their resistance evolving into outright hostility. Their bitterness was not just directed at me but at Nano as well. "You've forgotten where you come from," one elder accused him publicly. The words, dripping with scorn, sent a ripple through the crowd, their judgment tangible in the air. Nano's unwavering confidence began to show cracks. He had always been the steady one, the leader who inspired others to rise above their circumstances. But now, the weight of his tribe's betrayal was etched into his face. "What if they're right?" he asked one evening, his voice heavy with doubt. "What if we're fighting for something that can't be changed?" The question lingered between us, threatening to unravel the bond we had so carefully built. But I refused to let it. "Nano," I said, meeting his gaze, "we didn't come this far to give up. They're afraid of what we can accomplish because they know we're stronger together. That's why they fight so hard to keep us apart." His hesitation lingered, but a spark of determination returned to his eyes. It was enough to reignite our resolve. Together, we pushed forward, redoubling our efforts to complete the mission despite the obstacles. On the final day, as we prepared to present the fruits of our labor, the tension reached its peak. A group from Nano's tribe confronted us, their intentions clear from their aggressive posturing. "End this now," one of them demanded. "You've brought shame to our people." Nano stepped forward, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Shame," he echoed. "The only shame is letting hate control our lives. Wasi and I have done nothing but work for something bigger than ourselves. If you can't see that, then maybe it's not us who should be questioning our loyalty." The confrontation ended without violence, but the damage had been done. As we unveiled our work, the crowd's reaction was a mixture of awe and resentment. Some applauded, their expressions hinting at grudging respect. Others turned away, their pride refusing to let them acknowledge what we had achieved. Nano and I stood side by side, knowing that our mission's success was not the end of our struggle but the beginning of a new chapter. The betrayal we had faced had left scars, but it had also revealed the depth of our resilience and the strength of our bond. As we left the event, Nano turned to me, a faint smile playing on his lips. "We did it," he said quietly. "We did," I replied, feeling a sense of pride that outweighed the pain of the journey. The storm had not broken us. If anything, it had made us stronger. Together, we had proved that unity was worth fighting for, even when the world tried to tear us apart.